thank you so much for joining us here on Sun Valley News, Terry. I know it's been quite the couple weeks, and through the announcement of the 215 bodies of Indigenous residential school found in Kamloops, how are you feeling with the news that had been announced?
We always knew about that. We just didn't know where, when it was going to happen. Like even while I was going through my court system, battling the government and the Anglican Church, it was mentioned a few times, and but kind of swept aside. So when it actually came out, it's like, oh, yay, validation. Mm-hmm. We knew it. But even then, my heart and spirit is like, wow, finally, evidence to back up everything that we've been sharing through the court system and in each of our communities where the schools were. So it was a validation from the little people, and thank you to Creator and timing. Timing is everything, and right now during this whole pandemic thing, this is the highlight for all Canadians, and thank you, little people.
Do you think that was the missing piece for Canada to wake up, is that they needed that evidence, even though we've been saying this is what's happened to our people through the generations?
Yes, it's a wake-up call. Like, we told you a long time ago. Now do you believe us? Now, are you going to stand with us, walk beside us, help us heal, do this good work, or are you going to take a back seat? You're not going to be able to take a back seat anymore, Canada. Sorry. You're in this with us now.
How have you and your family been handling all the emotions that you've been going through these past few weeks?
My spouse and I, that was because I'd lost a brother early last month to a grizzly bear attack. He was a professor at the University of Calgary, and he linked me up with the university, sharing our stories together, Walking in Two Worlds. And that was the name of the program that we're working with. And he was killed by a grizzly bear. And ironically, that was his spirit name, is Grizzly. And my family tree is Grizzly. So with that incident happening, and then with the residential school discovery, it's just, a few days ago, I shared my story with people from around the world that were part of an organization. My spouse is in tears. I had a few tears flowing because it felt like a very first time again to disclose about my life story with a whole bunch of new people from Australia, Africa, you name it. And it brought up a whole bunch of emotions. Okay, I guess I sit with it and work with it.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable.
Not like it used to be. I remember when I first started, 1987. I was game and gung ho. Okay, we got to do this, and I had that drive because I had support from my elders and medicine people that worked with me all along my journey. And so I really feel fortunate that I was looked after. And now that I'm on the Sunshine Coast and standing beside Sea Salt Nation with their day scholar program court case.
Well, can you share about your experience at the Lytton residential school and the process that you went through with your court case and the legal proceedings?
The residential school in Lytton was called St. George's Indian Residential School, and they had that written on their blue station wagon that picked kids up from different parts of our nation and brought us to that school. And the very first day of any kid's life, you remember it. And I remember when the RCMP and the principal for St. George's showed up at my grandmother's home in Kanaka Bar, and we called her mom, not grandmother, mom, because she looked after us. My own parents were separated, and who knows where they were at. And Mom seen the RCMP coming up in the blue station wagon, and she goes, "Run, hide, kids, hide, go hide in the woodshed." Because the woodshed was right behind the house, and outhouse not too far away from that. And so all of us kids ran to the woodshed, and she said, "Be quiet." And so the cars pulled in, and I could see the outline of the police car, and the RCMP member goes, "Okay, Julia," that's the name of our grandmother, "Julia, we know you have kids here that are school age. If you don't turn them over now, we'll take you to jail. No questions asked." And the principal was waiting by the car, and so was the RCMP driven. And so she closed the door on him and came to the back door and called out John Daniel and myself. And she goes, "Okay, you two, you have to go or we'll end up in jail." And so that was the start of my journey. And she said she'll contact both of our mothers and have them meet us at the residential school. So, one of them good old landlines back in the day and it's a party line and whatnot. So she packed up our clothes and we jumped in the blue station wagon, and we stopped further on other smaller family units, a Hans family, and on down the line until we got to the residential school. And our moms were waiting, but we had to go through the principal's office first, and they looked through our bags, make sure that we didn't have anything, whatever anything was at that time as a kid.
Yeah, as children.
7 years old, like, what am I going to be packing, a gun or a knife or whatever? Yeah. And anyway, and our parcels that our grandmother gifted us food from home, they took that away. We never seen it. So anyway, once they did that, they took us to the junior dorm, which beginning of the residential school, junior, intermediate, and senior. On the boys' side, like girls had one side and boys had the other. And in the middle was the dining room down the basement. And first floor or second floor was the auditorium where girls are sitting one side, boys on the other side, and a stage, of course. And the junior dorm had the boys had 3-level junior dorm on the first, intermediate second, and seniors up on the third floor. And of course, there's a basement where we had to line up for meals and pray and do all of that stuff. But when we were showing all of this areas of the residential school, they finally took us to the junior dorm and said, "Well, say goodbye to your moms." And so John, Daniel, and I gave them big hugs and bawling our eyes out, and so they were too. It'd be a long time before we see them again. So once they left, John, Daniel, and I were bawling our eyes out, and finally the supervisor comes in and she goes, "You need to go outside now." But before that, she took us down to the basement and shaved our heads. You know how short that is? Just like that. And then we had to put on clothes from the school. Like, we couldn't use our own clothes anymore. We had to use residential school clothes. And that was the start of my journey. I remember being in the playground area, and there were swings, and I met a boy from He was from Prince Rupert, and I still remember his name to this day. I'm not
Wow.
sure if he's alive or not.
Yeah.
He's, yeah. And they had school in that residential school up to grade 5. And for the grade 1 and 2 and 3 schools was a white building by the playground. And grade 1 class was on the left side, and the grade 2 and 3 was on the right side. And of all things, they had the gymnasium above the classroom, so all you could hear when we were learning was bouncing ball upstairs, or kids running around back and forth, and so it was really, really distracting.
Yeah. The Lytton residential school had lots of overcrowding issues, right? And other like safety issues. Do you remember those safety issues?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
When we used to do the bathing, it was 3 to a tub. Can you imagine? And they had, those floor scrub brushes that are really brittle.
Yeah.
Yeah, they tried using that on us to scrub the Indian out of us. Like literally just, oh my God, it was rough, really brutal. And if you did bad things, or so-called bad things, we would have to scrub the stairs with a toothbrush, or the urinals or the bathrooms with a toothbrush. And yeah. So
who were these people? They were teachers?
Supervisors.
They were part of the Anglican Church, or?
Yeah. Part of Anglican Church, but also there were supervisors. They weren't teachers. They were looking after the dorms. We had separate teachers that would come to the school. And I remember most of those teachers. Really, it's like,
your memory is very vivid of everything that happened. It's not, this is not history. This is your living experience.
Yeah.
When you went through your legal proceedings, can you share about that experience? And you did win that. I did
17-year court battle.
Yeah.
The first law firm. 17 years of my life. And during that time, I had 2 beautiful daughters, and got married, and finished a family violence counseling, addiction counseling program at the Native Ed Center. And during that time, I was taking the government of Canada to court about St. George's. And when it first started, the first law firm we hired didn't do nothing. 10 years, it sat dormant. And in that 10-year time, we had 3 young warriors from our nation go to law school and graduate and come home. And one of them was set up in Lytton. And 1997, he calls me up and goes, "Hey, Coyote, come check this article out. I'm in my office today, so come check it out." And so I showed up, and he was shaking. He goes, "You need to call this lawyer," because he was one of 3 law firms that helped with the Delgamuukh-Nisga'a treaty process. This lawyer, I said, "Call him." Look, I read the article on the Nisga'a agreement and all of that. And so I called up the law firm and said, "What's it going to take to hire you guys?" And he goes, "Tell you what, I'll come up tomorrow with my wife, and we'll meet with you." And this is in the middle of summertime. So summer in Lytton is pretty hot, right?
Yeah.
That day he showed up was super hot. And one of my cousins that was part of the court case, we met him at our lawyer's office in Lytton, and Peter showed up with his wife, and she left. She goes, "I'm going to go check out the museum. You just let me know when you're done." And so we met with Peter at Raymond's office, and we were explaining our situation. "What's it going to take to hire you? Because read your article about the Dalgamuk decision, and our law firm hasn't done anything with our court case since 1987. And he goes, what? I said, yeah, we don't know what's going on. They don't contact us, nothing. And he goes, tell you what, you can fire that law firm and hire us in the same breath. If you guys want to do that, we can do that. And I said, well, I need to talk to my cousin here. And how about you go take a walk in front of the law office? And we were sitting underneath a fruit tree. So it was nice area. And we had lemon drinks. And so we were watching Peter pace back and forth in front of the fence there. And it was hot, really hot that day. And my cousin and I were saying, well, how's your, I was asking him, how's your cattle doing and horses, and how's your gardening? And, not really focusing in on should we hire this guy. Right away, we kind of knew. And we were watching Peter, and he pulled out his hanky, and he was starting to really sweat. And our cousin and I said, well, if he can handle Lytton heat, he can handle this court case. And no sooner did we say that, we called him over and said, we want to hire you. And so we called his office, Vancouver, faxed up information, signed on dotted line, and boom. That September, we were flown to Smithers to, he had another client that was part of the residential school in Lytton, and they were just going to start the proceedings. And then Peter said, called the judge, and she goes, sure, by all means, however you want to approach this, do it. So finally, we were heard. And that judge, she was amazing. I mean, it was really humbling and yet very rewarding, because finally our journey, our stories are going to be heard. It's going to be documented, and however long this is going to take. And through all of those years, I've had elders and medicine people, we got your back. So whenever this really starts happening, we got your back. And so we started the journey in Smithers, and had them in tears. The lawyers, the court workers, even the judge, she was just like, whoa, we need to move this down to Vancouver. We don't have the resources here in Smithers, and we need to move it to Vancouver. And our lawyer said, okay, you got it, because he had a whole bunch of support staff lined up for us already, but they weren't able to come up. And so the judge, she knew that. So she said, okay, we're going to Vancouver and we're going to start on there. And thank you, Mr. Aleck. And I wish you the best, because it's going to be turned over to another law firm or another judge.
Yeah.
And he was even better. Oh my God. Once it started, the anger, the rage, the hatred, all of it, with the Canada lawyers and the church lawyers were really just trying to blame it on our grandparents, our parents, separation, all of that. Right. And, we kept calling them on it. I said, no, nice try. You can try any aspects of our life, but come to it, we were put in a situation that none of us were safe. We're all abused mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, sexually, and you guys are going to pay for it. And that anger, some of it I carried home, and I'm grateful that I wasn't on drugs or alcohol, but my kids seen that anger part of me, and to this day I regret that, and I really hate the government for doing that to me. And yet I was committed to seeing this to the end. And we lost a lot of people along the way, and that made it even more challenging. It's like, okay, come on, you can do this. And as hard as it got, our lawyers were friggin' amazing. That whole law team was, the support that we received from them was phenomenal. And the support that we had from our community with the elders sitting outside praying for us and doing, getting us prepared. You guys can do this. One thing I want to say about my grandmother, like she knew once it started before she passed away, she goes, I want to talk to you face to face. She goes, I remember when Rainey was born, she showed up at my house, my youngest daughter. Her little spirit showed up in my doorway 3:40 in the morning. I knew my mom and Rainey's grandmother shared the same birthday, April 1st. So my grandmother knew right away that I had a baby girl. And she goes, I went to that school and I don't want to talk about it. There's some good stuff that I learned as your grandmother, and there's stuff I don't want to go into. But she goes, give it everything you got. You're doing something for all of our people. No matter how hard it gets, just know that we, as your elders in this community, have your back. And go there with pride, go there with your heart on your sleeve and show them that it was that system that tried squishing you and it didn't squish you. Yeah. You're standing up for a whole bunch of people that need some healing. And she goes, I'll say my prayers for you. And when I die and go to spirit world, I'll be watching over you. And it's like, wow. So all along the way, there was always good support. And, I look back and I'm really, really grateful for that, for standing up and saying, you're not going to stop me.
Yeah, you didn't, and you won. You didn't let them stop them, and you did win. Was that feeling of what was that feeling?
My God. When the judge looks down at me and he goes, Mr. Aleck, I said, yes, Your Honor. Your 17-year court battle is over today, March 31st. May 31st, 2003. Is there anything else that you would like from this court system? And Your Honor, I would love to receive an apology letter from the Prime Minister of Canada. If you can do that, then we're good. So he wrote it down, an apology letter from the Prime Minister of Canada. And at that time, it was Harper. December 9th, 2004, I received that apology letter from Prime Minister of Canada, apologizing to me personally. And then 2006, when he did the full apology to Canada. So I was ahead of the game by 2 years. And it was a relief. The weight of that 17 years, just all of a sudden, just like, yeah, I did it. I did it.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap. And
that's a long fight. And we're still fighting. People are still fighting to be heard and to move forward.
Yeah.
After that process, or were you healing during the process while you were in your court case, or the healing came after? Or
I did both.
Yeah.
While I was doing the family violence counseling training, we were actually doing therapy at the same time at the Native Ed Center. And we had some awesome therapists come from different parts of the world to help us. We were helping to develop the family violence counseling program for Canada, not just Native Ed Center. We were 8 of us were chosen. I was the only male in that, and my auntie Winnie was part of it. And she got to see me go through a lot of healing before she even passed away just a couple of years ago. And we trained together as counselors. And she goes, oh, nephew, oh my God, the hell you went through as a
Mm-hmm.
kid. And she goes, and we just had to kiss you guys goodbye. And she goes, that was the hardest
Yeah.
day of her life. Was, my cousin Daniel and I and our moms together. That was the last really family time that we had that, really stuck with her.
That's a long fight.
In the family balance counseling program, I was in therapy constantly. And, and then when the court thing really happened, we had therapists with us, helping us. And
a lot of these the families here in Kamloops are going to be going through that same unraveling of the trauma and healing journey. What could you say to those families? What can they expect as they're going through their journey?
Remember their ceremonies. Remember going to the water. Throw rocks into the river. Give it every name possible, because that's what I was taught. And when you go to the water, scream in the water, not outside when it's cold, super cold, like Stein River is. Dunk under and let it go. Let it go. Brush down with fir boughs is what our people did in the interior. And because I'm coastal, I've been using a lot of cedar. And if you're a part of sweat ceremonies, when that happens again, do it. And any of our ceremonies will help along the way. And I'm really grateful that, I was already doing that kind of work when the court system really took hold and we moved through it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
With the youth, with our Indigenous youth, I imagine that there's a lot of feelings and confusion. What how can we support our Indigenous youth with their well-being?
Listen to their stories. Somebody was a teacher friend from Edmonton called me up one day, and she goes, just a little while ago after the children were found, and she was teaching young kids, and the kids heard it on news and came into school the next morning, and they were bawling their eyes out and saying, how could this happen? These are kids my age. And this little kid was talking. It's my stepdaughter who's a teacher, and she called me and she goes, what can I do? The kid wants to plant flowers. And I said, well, if you can find balsam flower or sunflowers, the kids will really appreciate learning something and doing something about what happened. And
what do you want from non-Indigenous people in Canada right now? What would you hope their steps should be, or how can they support our Indigenous people now?
Listen to our painful stories. Be there, be present, honor us, witness us, smudge with us. If you have a drum, sing with us, or just drum. Keep the same rhythm. And support us in any way possible. And this community here on the Sunshine Coast has really, they have my back. They really have my back, and they hold me up in praise and honors. I thank you, Coyote, for hanging in there and standing up for the residents of school issue and making that known to everybody. And so even my boss is like, I have no words. He goes, I have no words what to say to you right now. And I said, that's okay. Just be here.
Yeah.
And if I want to talk about something that's really bugging me, then I know you'll be here. And he goes, yep, I will be. And this, like I said, this whole community, and even with the Zoom, people have really been reaching out and saying, man, so sorry that you people have gone through so much hell.
Yeah.
The Zoom doesn't do it justice, but it's helping a bit.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something. I've seen a lot of our Indigenous people going through those phases of grief and trauma, and many are angry right now.
Yeah.
And you've
Oh,
shared
yeah.
you've shared your past with anger. What
Mhm.
helped you go through your phase of anger in your grief cycle?
Like I said, throwing rocks or
Yeah.
going to the creek and, just going underwater and just screaming it out and getting mad at the issue. And that has helped me a lot.
Instead of like towards people,
Yeah. Yeah.
towards, you know,
Or your
okay.
kids or your spouse
Yeah.
or your friends. Yeah, just go to the mountainside, you know.
I've never thought of that. I've never thought of going.
Yeah.
I go into nature for peace. I've never thought to go and take my anger out on the river.
And asking for
Yeah.
forgiveness, offer tobacco or sage or sweetgrass or whatever medicine you want to share for doing the good work that you're doing. And I was always taught that with medicine people that have come into my life, and especially the one that gifted me the sacred red pipe. She goes, "You're going to be put to work big time and you need some extra help." And yeah, so I really feel blessed as a pipe carrier, sweat leader, counselor, security guard at a mall,
Yeah. I know that.
grandfather.
Yeah. Wearing all the hats. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's been amazing speaking with you and your journey, and you're just so amazing. Thanks for sharing all our technical difficulties too.
I
Being
know.
patient with that.
That was painful.
That's our next step, is working on technology for our
Yeah.
Indigenous communities. Coming into this new week, what makes you proud of our communities and your relatives?
It's like we're being heard for the first time ever. And even through all this grief that, Lytton's going through a lot of grief right now with losing young people. And where everybody's coming together in ceremony. And it's like, yes, keep that up, because ceremonies, gatherings is how our people used to be generations ago. Somebody would host a gathering and people showed up in droves, just to be around that. Lytton, we used to host healing gatherings, and when that shut down, I mean, we had people from around the world come to Pasalco and sweat with us, feast with us, dance with us, cry with us, sing, drum, you name it. And it was an amazing, amazing healing journey. 1994, when the Anglican Church hosted that year, it's called the Healing Circle. So if you ever get a chance to see that one, 1994, the Healing Circle, you'll see the magic that we used to do as a people. With the youth, with the elders, yeah.
All right. Any last words that you would like to share with our viewers that are watching from Lytton and from the area?
I raise my hands up to you. I love you guys. I honor you. And trust the process. Go through the grief, go through the fear, go through the hatred, anger. All those are different stages of healing. And that's how I look at it. You're healing your spirit. You're healing part of our history that was dark for such a long time. And now we're being shown to the world. And let's honor that. Honor those 215 little children that said they found us. Now they see us. And that, I wish the best to each of you on your healing journeys. And I hope you find the support and help that you need when you need it. And that somebody will be there for you, or a group will be there for you, or pick up your drum, or when we're allowed to go to sweats. Or like I said, go to the Stein River and burr.
There you go. I'm going to try that. Thank you so much, Terry. It's been an honor to have you here on Sunvalley News. Thank you.
Thank you. Cook Stam.